Have a long-winded way of answering the question of should I go to college, should I stay? Well, if you don't come from an environment of privilege, if you don't come from an environment where you have social capital, which they're kind of tied in, they're all kind of the same, then my strongest piece of advice for you is, yep, you gotta go. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bridging the Divide podcast. I am your host, Rolando Bonilla. I am glad to be back here talking to you. I want to talk to you about a quick way to make millions of dollars and, make you successful. So you can have a Lamborghini in the garage and you can have a beautiful home on the water in any city that you want. Yeah, it's easy, right? Uh, Actually, no, that's not what I'm talking to you about. But I think you can do it. I think you can get there. But what I'm going to talk to you about today is this idea of should I go to college? I was really gratified to hear recently that, a lot of you listening to me are listening to me in college dorms throughout the country. That was a pretty cool thing. I've got kids. They don't think I'm the coolest. So to hear that y'all are taking the time to listen what I have to say and that you find it helpful is really, really inspiring for me. A question I come up with a lot is this question of should I stay or should I go to college, right? We hear the stories, we hear, Zuckerberg dropped out of Stanford or Harvard, I don't even know, but one of those, and, so and so dropped out, this person dropped out. And those are great stories. Those are great, inspiring stories that kind of help continue moving the American economy because at the end of the day, what moves this economy is storytelling, right? Uh, but remember, we're the Bridging the Divide podcast. Like me, I'm trying to talk to all of you that grew up on what some would call the other side of the tracks, where was it easy, where we didn't have infrastructure, where we didn't necessarily have access to resources, where we didn't have a network, where we didn't have access to capital. That's who I'm talking to. And so, for those of us that come from that world, not that it's exclusive to us in terms of what I'm saying, but this is you are who I'm talking to. For those of us that come from that world, because we don't have any of it, at the end of the day, my personal opinion is you need to go to college. And you need to go to college because that's where you build your network. That's where you're able to essentially come up with a cohort of people who are all driven by the idea of wanting to progress and be successful. And that over time, those individuals, your classmates, who you had a lot of fun experiences with or have a lot of fun experiences with, will one day themselves, like you, become professionals. And so, whereas when you started with zero, over time, you start developing a network of folks that you have a shared experience with that allows for you to be able to support one another on your journey. I'll tell you that to me is one of the primary reasons you want to be there. I can tell you from my own personal life. My best friend my entire life growing up. He and I stayed on the political track together, came up the ranks, went to high school together, went to college together, interned at San Francisco City Hall together, and literally took the exact kind of parallel life journeys to the point that we talk pretty much every day about our success, our days, our ups, our downs. And I have others who I talk to as well, who I came up with, went to school with, had shared experiences with, and through them, I've also met other people who were like-minded and who, have similar war stories that they share with me, and vice versa. So, as you can see, we started zero, but if we accept the fact that college for us isn't just about the degree, but also the social capital, which I would argue is of more value, then what that does for you is that it gives you the opportunity to successfully compete in different environments in your life, which is what you want, right? You want to be in an environment where you can pick up the phone and call someone, maybe to open a door, maybe to give you advice, very much the things you did not have access to when you were younger. I know I've got mentees who have done everything from start their own businesses, go to law school. I've got one right now starting his journey, trying to transfer into a 4-year university, another starting a social media site, and another one that's about to finish her second year of law school. And I could keep going all day. And now they're developing their own network, developing their own relationships, developing their own ecosystem. And you could just see them get better because of it, right? You could see them get sharper, get better. You could hear the conversations where they're sharing ideas with each other. They're having conversations that make them better. They're no longer working from nothing, right? So whereas maybe when you started pre-college, you didn't have a map, you at least now not only have a general map, but you also have built along the way an infrastructure that, if you continue to cultivate, will help you get to the next levels of your life, and over time many will become some of your closest friends. I had someone tell me one day, she's, "Hey Rolando, you seem to know everyone everywhere." Well, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been in this game for about 30 years. I've seen people come up the ranks. I've seen people uh, who have gone on to big things. I've been there at the very beginning when it was just an idea. I've been in the room where they've made the decision to do something uh, life changing. And so when you are in those conversations for a big part of your life, you develop essentially a network that looks like the roots of a tree. It goes everywhere, goes deep, and that you over time are able to tap into when you yourself need a level of support, encouragement, ideas, thought partnership. So yeah, I would say 100%. uh, I just finished having a conversation this morning with someone where I explained to her, I said, listen, the no matter what you do, if you're willing to work harder than anyone else in the room and gain knowledge by reading, learning, talking to people, and building a support system of like-minded people, you'll get there. Now, what level there is always to be determined, but in many ways what level is contingent on you and how much you're willing to do and what you're willing to, who you're willing to bring along in that journey with you. That's what's worked for me. That's what's worked for me. Every moment of success in my life, I would be lying to you if I told you I did it by myself. That is not true. That is not true. Whether it was in high school, I had counselors who saw potential in me, and advocated for me. Whether it was at the community college level, I had folks advocating for me. Whether it was at the University of San Francisco, I had folks advocating for me. Law school, advocating for me. When I wanted to be on the planning commission, same thing. Juvenile probation commission, same thing. Every moment of my life, uh, I've had people rooting for me. Uh, but that didn't just happen, right? That didn't just happen. It came from an understanding that I uh, was willing to put the work in, and whether, again, my opinion here, whether we like it or not, college was a big pathway to that, and my willingness to do that demonstrated to a lot of folks my willingness to do whatever it takes to be successful in terms of the work, the dedication, the commitment. And so it made it easy for people to want to actually vouch for me and actually want to have my back and give me the chance to have those opportunities. So I have a long-winded way of answering the question of should I go to college, should I stay? Well, if you don't come from an environment of privilege, if you don't come from an environment where you have social capital, which they're kind of tied in, they're all kind of the same, then my strongest piece of advice for you is, yep, you got to go, because that's where you're going to get the chance to build a network, build a relationship. And look, you could go to Stanford, Harvard, Yale, and still not build a network. You could go to, a local college and build a very powerful network. It's not about where you end up, it's about what you do, where you're at, right? And that's all up to you. But yeah, that is my opinion. I think college, for those of us that were born on the other side of the tracks, is non-negotiable. I mean, even the folks that are advocating for no college, all went to college, all went to elite business schools, have done very well for themselves, and it goes to show you, right? That's where those networks got built, and so you should have the same opportunity for yourself, in terms of building that network. So yes, go to college, go make friends. Those friends over time become your network, and over time become your support group. So, all right, go get it. I know you will. Until next time, thank you for listening.